Folks, welcome back. I have your latest home prices and insights for the City of Toronto for week ending July the 6th, 2022. Never a dull moment in real estate. As a realtor, every day is a challenge, every day is exciting. No 2 days are the same. We recently were working with a buyer client and we purchased a property at about $150,000 lower than the list price. The takeaway from that, and I know I'm not getting into all the negotiating back and forth and the strategy and how we were able to do that. The moral of the story is we bought a property $150,000 lower than list price, and the takeaway I want you to have is that we've learned through the years, working with buyers and with sellers, that sellers are very reluctant to lower their price. It's with a passion. They will fight lowering their price on the MLS. But it's way easier to negotiate a lower price with a seller than to have them lower their price on MLS. So if you're a buyer, keep that in mind. It's easier to negotiate a lower price than to wait for that seller to bring their price down. And the other side of that is once the seller does, if the seller brings their price down on MLS, well, everybody knows about it. And now a undesirable property because the list price is too high now all of a sudden becomes desirable for a lot of other people. So it works against you. It's easier to negotiate a lower price than to get the seller to drop their price online. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. And this way I'll know ahead of time. I'll make sure I'm organized so we could talk about whatever's on your mind. And if you're looking for an awesome one-bedroom condo with a huge den in a one-year-old building in Kingsway, check out the video at the end of this video. Lots of you have been talking about, especially in the comments, about how way worse prices are going to be, much lower prices are going to be than where they are now, and are talking about being able to pick up houses at unbelievable prices. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Are prices likely to get softer from where they are now? That's likely. How low they're going to get? I couldn't predict that. I couldn't tell you that with any kind of accuracy. Lots of you, though, have been asking for multiple years comparison. So I've put that together. Let's look at that. I have here on this chart, now normally my charts are broken down by week. This chart is broken down by month. So the last month I have here is June 2022 because it was the last full month. And we're going back all the way to January 2018. So I'm going back 4 years here. It's for the City of Toronto only, and it's for detached properties only. So sales, and I've got the highlighted in black is exactly a year ago. So June 2022, June 2021, June 20 and so forth, June 2018 here. And I've got the average sold prices for the corresponding months in black. Let me tell you what this arrows mean. I have to explain it because it's my way of kind of figuring this thing out. If we're going this way, all these percentages here compared to where the average price is today. So for June, the average price for the City of Toronto for detached properties is $1,737,000. If we're going this way, well, this price is up, going this way 2.4% from where it was June a year ago. So it's not that much higher than where we were last year the same time. If we go back a couple of years to June 2020, going this way comparing to this price, we're up 13.9%. So say 14% higher than June 2020. But if we want to go the other way and think, okay, here's where we are now, what percentage do we got to come down to get to last year's price, the year before that? Well, if we're going this way, we have to come down 2.3% to get to last year's price. Is that possible? It's only 2.3%. Very likely, and it seems very possible, especially at the rate we've been dropping now. Well, to get to June 2020 prices, we've got to come down 12.2% from where we are now. Also, kind of seems doable, doesn't it? To get to June 2019 prices, we've got to come down 23.3% from where we are now. Now that's, in my own head, starting to get a little bit cloudy, because we've already come down quite a bit from where we were a few months ago at the beginning of the year. Quite a bit. A further 23%, I guess it's doable, but you can see how, like, back then, June 2019, the average sold price was $1,333,000. We're now sitting at $400,000 more, at $1,737,000. And the previous year, actually, June 2018, average sold price was a little bit higher than June 2019 for the month of June, right? So here's the chart. A lot of you have been asking for it. I hope my arrow's going one way or the other. Makes sense. If not, comment below. I'm happy to explain it further, or book a time on my calendar. I'm happy to discuss it further. But I do want to mention one other thing. These are broken down by month. And it's saying that for June, the average sold price was $1,737,000. I like to look at these numbers by week. Now, I know there's more volatility in when I look at numbers by week, but here's the typical Toronto chart. I'm going to get into what I normally do every single week now. Well, if we look at June, average sold price at the beginning of the month was $1,845,000, and at the end of the month was just over 1.6. There's a big difference on a weekly basis. Right now, for July 6th, average sold price in the city of Toronto, $1,526,000. It's way lower than what the average price was for June. So this is why I like looking at things on a weekly basis. It's a little bit more accurate, a little bit more volatile on a weekly basis. I keep that in mind, but I'm able to see huge differences between the beginning of the month and the end of the month. So average sold price for the city of Toronto for week ending June the 6th, $1,526,000 for detached properties. Sales way down. We sold 94 detached properties across the city of Toronto, and 14 of those were at $2 million or more. Only 14. And that's way down from the previous weeks, way down. Did the long weekend have something to do with it? I think so. It had something to do with it. I'm not saying that's the only reason prices came down, but the long weekend was 3, maybe 4 days for some people. Had a lot to do with sales coming way down. Well, $1,526,000 is 1% lower than what it was a year ago. To be more specific, it's actually 1.5% lower than what it was a year ago. Median price is 0.2% higher than what it was a year ago. So its median price is basically the same. When we look at sales year to date, 27% fewer sales this year versus a year ago, year to date, and 40% sold at list price or more. Listings, 9%, and I'm talking year to date, 9% fewer listings this year versus a year ago, and months of inventory has shot way up to 3.7 months of inventory. Those of you that are out there shopping, or even if you're on the market selling, it's going to feel like a buyer's market. Technically, we are basically just at the doorstep of what we would call a balanced market, but it's going to feel like a buyer's market just because of the price point and the kind of, I guess, frenzy that we're coming down from. Average days on market is sitting at 14. Breaking Toronto down a little bit further into 3 sections between West, Central, and East, prices have come down for all the sections. So here's West Toronto. 31 detached properties were sold. Only 2 were at $2 million or more. Average sold price in West Toronto has come way down on this one particular week to $1,302,000. That's it, 1.3 million. So average sold price is 4% lower than what it was a year ago. Median price is 7% lower than what it was a year ago. And months of inventory in West Toronto is sitting at 3.7 months of inventory. Looking at Central, sales, 25 detached properties were sold in Central Toronto. That's it, only 25. Those are like Christmas sales, like it's not much at all. 11 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price is just under 2.2 million. It's sitting at 2,195,000, which is 5% lower than what it was a year ago. And median price of 2,096,000 is 4% lower than what the median price was a year ago. And months of inventory in Central Toronto is sitting at 5.4, almost at the top end of the balanced market. And if it feels like a buyer's market in Central Toronto, that's because we are technically almost in a buyer's market in Central Toronto. 24% of all properties sold in Central Toronto were at list price or more, just 24%. And here's East Toronto. We sold only 38 detached properties in East Toronto. One of those was at $2 million or more. Average sold price has come down to $1,269,000, which is 4% higher than last year's average sold price, and the median price of $1,248,000, which is very close. Median price and average sold price are pretty close. Median price is 11% higher than what it was a year ago. East Toronto, which is East York and Scarborough, is the only, for this week, the only part of regions of Toronto that I'm breaking down between West, Central, and East where average sold price and median price are higher than what they were a year ago. And 63% of the properties sold in East Toronto sold at list price or more. Now, months of inventory in East Toronto is 2.6 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. Again, West, Central, and East, if we just focus on months of inventory, 3.7, 5.4. East Toronto is still at 2.6. It's up from before, but still the lowest, the most activity, lowest average sold prices, lowest days on market, and the lowest months of inventory is in East Toronto. East Toronto is more active than any other of the two parts of Toronto. Now, there's micro markets in there that change that, but if we just look at these three markets, that's what's going on in the city of Toronto. Here are semis. 32 semis were sold, which is not a lot, way down from the previous weeks. 5 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price for semis is $1,252,000. $1,252,000 is 4% lower than last year's average sold price for semis. Median price of $1,185,000 is 10% higher than last year's median price for semis. Months of inventory climbed up to 2.5 months of inventory. 15 is the average days on market for semi. Townhouses are all over the place. I mean, the sales are so low. 16 townhouses were sold across the city of Toronto. Average sold price went up from last week. It's now sitting at $1,375,000. So 1,375 is 9% higher than last year's average sold price, and the median price of $1,273,000 is 14% higher than last year's median price. Months of inventory went up a little bit. It's sitting at 2 months of inventory, and only 19% of the townhouse sales were at list price or more. But that's like 3 because we only sold 16 townhouses. Okay. Condos. What's going on in condos? Like the other markets, sales are down. 187 condos were sold. 18 of those we're at $1 million or more, which is almost half of what we sold the previous week at $1 million or more. Average sold price has come down to 746,000. 746 is 5% higher than last year's average sold price. And the median price of 690 is 9% higher than last year's median price. So average sold price 5% higher, median price 9% higher year over year. Year to date, sales for condos, 25% fewer sales this year. Listings, 2% fewer sales this year, year to date. And months of inventory climbed up a little bit. Look at the way it's been going. It's just been going higher and higher and higher. It's now sitting at 3.7 months of inventory, and average days on market is sitting at 21. Here's a quick summary. Months of inventory went up everywhere, across the board. None of them came down. Sometimes there's one that kind of comes down, but they all went up, except for townhouses and maybe semis. They're very much right at the doorstep of a balanced market, but it feels so much like a buyer's market out there. Maybe we got to start relooking at these numbers and what represents a buyer's market and a balanced market. But right now, again, it's going to feel like a buyer's market. There's some opportunity if buying makes sense to you. If it doesn't, waiting might make sense. Whatever's best for you and your family is the most important thing. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Here's your chance to live in the heart of the Kingsway. Welcome to Kingsway by the River Condos. It's a newly built building. This is a 1-bedroom with a den, a large den. This is a corner unit, and it comes with this massive wraparound balcony. Let me show it to you.